Hello there, fellow film collectors. Today I have something very special to talk about, and I know I say that in almost every video, but it remains true for this one. I have some very special new releases from the label Deaf Crocodile, which is one of my favourite labels at the moment. I've been having such a great time watching everything that I've been able to get my hands on, and hopefully you can take some of these as recommendations for perhaps things to explore in your own film watching. I have 3 of their latest releases which have had this limited edition treatment. I'm going to be talking about each one of these in a bit more detail. I also have just received the Kickstarter Alexander Pushkin box set. This is an exclusive box set that Deaf Crocodile had on their Kickstarter project earlier in the year. So after I've talked about the new releases, I'll talk a bit about this, but I think I'm going to do a whole separate video on this when I've fully finished going through everything. But so far this has been absolutely magical and I've been having a great time. But maybe you've clicked on this video and you have no idea what Deaf Crocodile is, so let me just give you a bit of a brief introduction. So they are a boutique Blu-ray label that is run out of California in the United States, and they have a real focus on world cinema and forgotten gems of both animation and live action, some films which are quite old, some films which are very new. And Deaf Crocodile focuses on presenting these films to a new audience and keeping the films in circulation, because a lot of these have been kind of neglected or forgotten about, or the films just haven't been well distributed in the West previously. So they're doing great work in that regard. Up until recently, Deaf Crocodile were a partner label to Vinegar Syndrome, but they have since parted ways and now they are partnered with Diabolic DVD and are getting their films into collectors' hands directly through the Diabolic DVD webshop. Now, before this changeover, this is what the Deaf Crocodile Blu-rays looked like. So they came in clear cases and standard artwork, and these are all great editions, by the way. I loved every single one of the films that I've watched from them so far. And if you were fortunate enough to get these editions early on, they did come with limited edition slipcovers. However, now Deaf Crocodile, they're taking things in a bit of a different direction in terms of the packaging. And if you get the limited edition versions now, they come in these beautiful rigid hard cases. So you get the rigid hard case with beautiful new artwork that wraps around. Inside each box, you'll find a hefty booklet with some brand new writings and the standard edition cases inside, which is now the Scanevo type that you would see on a Criterion or a Radiance release. And I think they look absolutely beautiful. Not that the old ones look bad, but I definitely much prefer this type of approach. So while I have it in front of me, let's talk about this one. This is The Savage Hunt of King Stack. This is a film directed by Valery Rubinchik, who is a filmmaker that I'd never heard about before. And that's been a running theme with me and Deaf Crocodile, is everything that they have released that I've watched has been a brand new introduction to me. These are films that I hadn't seen or even heard about before. And personally, it's quite humbling to know that there are so many films out there yet to discover that you don't even know exist. Anyway, I could blabber on talking about all that stuff, but what you really want to hear about is these new releases. So the film itself is quite hard to describe. It's a bit of a folk gothic fairy tale with some beautiful designs, beautifully shot, and the story itself is kind of amorphous. And it's a film that when I was watching it, I was paying attention to the story that was being told, but really I was just absolutely blown away by all of the trappings of the film, just the design and how everything has been constructed. It's a bit of a murder mystery story, kind of, about this young man who has come to study the folklore and the legend in this particular area of Belarus. He comes to this mysterious Gothic castle, and the people there say that they are cursed by the legend of King Stack, who was betrayed and he was murdered, and now his spirit roams the marshlands and very much interferes with the people and maybe doing some murdering. And hopefully just from that little bit of a synopsis, it's kind of tickled something in your brain. The film is beautiful. I had a great time with this one, and Deaf Crocodile have prepared a whole entire package with some great special features on disc, as well as great writings in the booklet. You'll find an introduction to the film from Keala Janice, who you might recognise from other Blu-rays. There are some commentary tracks on here which are wonderful. There is a video essay kind of dissecting the film, and I think the artwork is just so evocative, and I think it's brilliant. I don't know what more I can say about the artwork. And I should also mention that the disc is authored by Fidelity in Motion. So it's been authored by the best in the business. There are absolutely no issues in terms of compression or anything messing with the image in that regard. So you're in safe hands with this. Oh, one thing that I did forget to mention at the top of the video is all of these releases are Region A locked Blu-rays. So if you don't live in the United States and you want to play these, you will need a multi-region player to do so. Next we have Adela Has Not Had Supper Yet, and the film is as charming as the title would suggest. This is a film I didn't know about, but I did realise I'm familiar with the filmmaker Aldrich Lipsky because I do have one of his other films here. This is the film Happy End, which was recently released by Second Run in the UK. And when I watched this for the first time, I was absolutely blown away and just completely in love with this film. So going into Adela Has Not Had Supper Yet, I knew that I was probably going to like it because of how much I'd liked this other film from the filmmaker. This is a Czechoslovakian film from the late 1970s, and that may not sound like it's your kind of thing. However, this film is a lot of fun and it is well worth giving a shot. The film is probably best experienced than listening to me describe it, because on paper the film is quite hard to describe, and how I would describe it will not actually live up to what the film is. It's very inventive, it's colourful, it's mad. We follow this American detective who comes to Prague to investigate this mysterious case about a dog that's gone missing, and there are plants that are moving and they eat meat. And when he gets to Prague, he meets up with this local police guy who's a bit crazy, and as soon as they meet, they end up going on a binge drinking session, a pub crawl, where they just drink tons and tons of beer. Honestly, I'm probably doing this film absolutely no justice, but I just absolutely loved it. It was such a wonderful time, and it looked beautiful on the Blu-ray. They've done a great job in presenting the film on this disc. Just like with the Savage Hunt of King Stack, you get this beautiful rigid hard case with this gorgeous artwork. Unfortunately, my box didn't manage to go unscathed in the journey from America to England. There's a tiny little ding in the bottom, but such is life, I will live. And let's have a look at what you get inside. There's another wonderful booklet here with brand new essays, and then you get the case itself. Within the extras on the disc, you get some wonderful Czech short films which are totally endearing, and I absolutely loved watching them. And there is an audio commentary from some Czech film experts. So all around, this is another wonderful release from Deaf Crocodile. And then we come to this one, In the Moscow Slums. And unlike those two other films, this is a modern film that was released in 2023. This is from Russian film director Karen Shakhnarov, who I was not familiar with before. However, I've realised that Deaf Crocodile have already released some of his films on Blu-ray. So I'm going to have to go back and do some homework and watch those other films, because this was my introduction to the filmmaker. And it turns out that Dennis and Craig from Deaf Crocodile actually discovered that this film was being made while they were recording some of the features for one of those older releases from the director. So it's kind of funny how these things come to be. There's a bit of a running theme with these Deaf Crocodile releases, because this is also a bit of a murder mystery. It's loosely based on Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes story, The Sign of the Four. However, this film takes place in Kitrovka, a Moscow slum, and instead of following Holmes and Watson, we follow the real-life person Konstantin Stanislavski as he tries to figure out what is going on in these slums. I found this film very charming, and it was also very easy to watch. And I don't mean that in a bad way when I say it was easy. It was just very smooth and it kept flowing, and I really liked the central characters and all of the sets and the costumes. I must say though that for a Moscow slum, everything looks so clean. Like if I had to pick a slum to live in, it would be the slums in this film. It's all just so pristine. And that's perhaps maybe one of the things that didn't quite connect with me, is the sense of the period was never fully realised because of how modern and digital the whole film looks. But that is just a personal preference. I like my stories that are set in the distant past, feeling gritty and earthy. I want these people to look like they smell really bad. But hey, that's just personal preference. Regardless, the film looks great on the disc, and there are a ton of special features, just like with those other releases. Again, we've got the booklet with some new essays and the case in the Scanavo style. And I really do like this artwork, and I also really love the main artwork on the box. On the disc, you'll find some video essays covering the film, giving a bit of analysis. But the thing that I enjoyed the most was the conversation between Dennis Bartok from Deaf Crocodile and the film director Karen Shakhnazarov himself. It's another wonderful release, so definitely go and check out the website for more details. Now, I said I would round things off by having a quick look at the Alexander Patushko set. This was from Deaf Crocodile's Kickstarter that they did earlier in the year. And as soon as I saw they were doing this, I had to get involved because I just had loved what I'd seen from the label before that. And this beautiful box with the artwork from Tony Stella is just something I just really wanted to have. In the box, you get 4 films. You get Ilya Muromets, you get Sampo, you get The Tale of Tsar Sultan, and you get Ruslan and Ludmila. The sad thing is you can't actually get this box anymore. It was exclusive to the Kickstarter, although you can get the films individually from Deaf Crocodile. So don't worry, you're not going to miss out on any content. It's just purely this box set packaging that you can't get anymore. The 4 discs each come in these new slip covers which are exclusive to this, and if you lay them out, it spells the director's name. I won't say much more because I think I am going to do a full video on this at some point, but do go and check these films out. If you haven't heard of them, they are these wonderful Soviet-era fantasy epics, and you literally do not get people making films like this today. Because they were Soviet government-backed films, they could end up getting thousands of extras for these big battle sequences, so they really are unique. And these are films that have not had much love in the past. In fact, they have often been ridiculed because some of them were shown in very different cuts when they were exported to America originally. So there's a bit of an unfortunate history for these films, but I'm really hoping that more people will give them the time and attention that they deserve. That will about do it for this video. I do hope it was somehow useful to you. If you hadn't heard of these films or Deaf Crocodile before, please do go and have a look at what they've been doing, because you may well discover a new favourite film. Hopefully I'll be back talking more Deaf Crocodile things in the future, but for now, if you want to stick around on the channel, just click the video that is presented on screen for some more film recommendations from me. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.